It's an absolute pleasure, Mohammed. Let me start with a story. Imagine you are responsible of developing 300 leaders to be nationals to become the leaders of a country. This is a big task. But this story has a small twist. The client here is the government, and they decided to advertise for it over social media. Fast forward 14 days, we had 10,000 applications. Yes, you heard it right. 10,000 applications staring at me, waiting for them to be sifted to 300. Now, the conventional way of doing recruitment and applications will tell us that this is an easy 3-month worth of job. However, using AI and new technologies, this was reduced to a couple of days, if not hours, let me put it this way. Now, the small interesting topic here is that, not now, right? So the small topic here is that the government, the company that I was working at, Big Four, one of the Big Fours, did not apply AI in their recruitment. So although they know how important technology is, they did not necessarily adopt AI. And this started the intriguing question of the why. Now, let me introduce myself. My name is Abdullah. I'm a certified management consultant. I have just about 20 years of experience within human capital. And I've had the luxury, or I was lucky enough, let me put it this way, to work in multiple organizations. Some of them are Big Four, like PwC. I worked at GP Strategies. If any of you are within leadership space, they would know that. But I also worked in the likes of Dubai government, the Roads and Transport Authority. I also worked at Abu Dhabi University. Now, an interesting point about my career is that I started as a computer scientist. I wanted to be an engineer to start with. But anyways, long story short, my first job was in London being a computer programmer. I'm really, really good at math and physics. I used to nearly fail everything else. This is on camera. I should have reviewed my speech. Anyways, so because I'm an analytical thinker, right? But I did not enjoy my work. And guess what? It took me 3 years to understand that there's something called an extrovert, which I'm one of them, right? So I get my energy by speaking to people rather than walking into an office and speaking to a computer all day long. Accordingly, my second degree was Master's in Business Administration with concentration on talent management from University of Strathclyde. And as Mohammed mentioned, I have a doctorate. And my research is relationship between the willingness of recruiters to adopt AI-based recruitment systems. So AI, the analytical thinking, with human capital, merging both together. From a certification point of view, since I moved careers completely, for me to be able to work in consultancy with chief human resources officers and what's not, I had to have a few certifications under my belt, such as the SHRM SCP, the Senior Certified Professional, I'm Global Professional Human Resources, Certified Coach, and Management Consultant. Right, so the agenda for today is, as Mohammed mentioned, we'll mention some of the success stories. We'll mention some that failed. And then I'll talk a little bit about AI and recruitment. And then I will leave my colleagues and peers here with some ideas and thoughts. Let's start with some success stories. Let's start with Dubai government. I don't know how many of you have visited Dubai, but if you were to live in Dubai, you'd have to do a lot of paperwork, like residency, driver's license, register your car, pay water, electricity, police fines, you name it, right? Parking, all the rest of it. What Dubai did is that they created something called Smart Dubai. And this app is a mobile app where you can literally do every single governmental service from your mobile 24/7, right? So they kind of automated, if you want, 170 services within 12 categories. The beauty about this is that they reduced service time and increased efficiency, of course. And obviously, people living in the city were satisfied, were happier because of easy application. Now, because of that, if you were to look for smart governments in the world, trust me, Dubai government will stand out between the crowd, right? Now, another example is from Qatar. Qatar, I don't know if you recall, they did the FIFA World Cup. So in 2018, they launched a project called TESMU. And what it is that it wants to make the country as one large interconnected city. The 5 pillars that they looked at are sports, logistics, environment, healthcare, and transport. So for instance, in logistics, where you can you can connect, you can get delivery through drones, the environment, the vertical farming and smart buildings, the healthcare, as you're walking in the street, you stop by a booth and have telehealth, and all the rest of it. So the impact of this is, once again, you harness the technology and innovation, improve the quality of living within the citizens, and of course, Qatar being a digitally driven society. The next example, now we spoke about countries, if you want. Now let's talk about departments within governments. So this is an example. A few of my colleagues yesterday here mentioned stuff about AI with healthcare. So, and I promised you that I'll show some stuff. So here we speak about Department of Health in Abu Dhabi, the capital of UAE. Where in just a few weeks ago, in May 2024, they kind of had an MOU with Mohammed bin Rashid University of Artificial Intelligence and Core 42. So for you who are interested in AI, I will strongly urge you to kind of look these 2 entities up. So what Mohammed bin Rashid University of AI did is that they literally hired the gurus of AI around the world into a university, right? To be kind of center of excellence. And if you look at ranking of AI around countries around the world, UAE comes 2 in the world in AI, right? Core 42 is the engine, if you want, that provides the AI. Bottom line, Department of Health is working really hard with AI professionals to kind of make difference in the country. The beauty about this is that they came up with, so far at least, five pillars, if you want. The first is integrated health records, where the minute you walk in, I'm a resident of the UAE, I have a UAE ID. The minute I go to any outlet, whether to register a car, to buy a house, or any other transaction, or if I got caught by police. But so I always need my UAE ID. Same story. When you go to a healthcare system, you don't need your insurance. In Canada, I have to hold my insurance card, right? You don't need that. With your UAE ID, the minute you walk in, you will have all your records all over within that country. The history, which doctors you've seen, medicine you took, operations you did, and so on and so forth. The AI administration, of course, it goes without saying. Virtual nursing chatbots where 24/7 you can speak or chat with a nurse. Imagine you're at home and something happened and you want to talk to somebody, right? AI in insurance, and that's mainly to avoid fraud transactions of going to multiple hospitals, seeing multiple doctors and what's not. And of course, we mentioned this yesterday with a few colleagues. They are using now AI to predict and anticipate a disease. So when you do an MRI, it could say, well, this is suspicious to be a cancerous, for example, and so on and so forth. The beauty about this is that we have improved treatments, and it shows Abu Dhabi as a technology-enabled healthcare system. The next one is Roads and Transport Authority. I think I'm lucky that I was given an opportunity to work with them. For you who do not know Dubai, when you say Dubai, you say the largest, the greatest, and all the rest of it. One of the iconic stuff about Dubai are their complicated roads, very nice, very well done, and all that is done by RTA. So roads, transport, buses, ferry, and guess what? flying taxis. Yes, you heard it right. Flying taxis operate now in Dubai, and all it's because of RTA. And this is a real picture of in RTA, one of RTA centers in Al Barsha in Dubai. It was taken just few weeks ago, where they launched the intelligent traffic system. What it does is that, once again, using AI to monitor the roads and anticipate traffic jams, and accordingly, it changes the traffic light systems. It diverts cars and what's not. The second is variable messaging systems. They have ginormous signs that give you live updates on what's happening on the road. And of course, they monitor the road. Of course, it reduces travel time and it becomes more convenient. Now, let me tell you the story why Dubai is, we have a lot of stories about Dubai. It's technology. My message to you here is that technology is really important. However, you need the ecosystem. I don't know, my colleagues, if you'd agree with me, but you need the ecosystem. And in this case, if you look here, you'd see that in the picture, you have the ruler of the country, His Royal Highness Mohammed bin Rashid, and his son, Hamdan bin Mohammed, in trying the self-driving taxi. And although they are in an office, but the taxi is, I don't know if the picture is clear, the taxi is in the street, picking up people and dropping them to their destinations. So what I'm trying to say here is that Dubai government created something called Dubai Future Foundation. But who of you heard of Dubai Museum of the Future? Right. So they think literally on Mars and beyond even. Right. So and part of it is Dubai Future Accelerators, where they invite entrepreneurs and thinkers to collaborate with government and private entities to solve current problems and futuristic problems. And with that in mind, you will have full access to the government, to the policies, and you set the rules. And accordingly, this is why Dubai government is known to be forward-thinking government, and it attracts entrepreneurs to visit the country. Now, a lot of great stories from the Middle East. Does that mean that technology always works? Well, guess what? It does not. Right, let me go to my home country, Canada, and tell you a bit of Phoenix Space System. Any of you heard of this story? Right, so let me tell you about Phoenix. The dream started in 2016, where the Dubai Canadian government wanted to invested $300 million. You're not going to like this, but with IBM originally, but then the government decided to cut corners in some areas and had other providers within the system. The aim of it was to pay $400 billion every year wages for 300,000 federal employees within 100 departments. The aim of this system was to cut costs by 70 million. Happy days, looks interesting. Now, the reality is that they ended up paying $2.6 billion, and that's because they had a lot of bugs and fixes and changes and changes in scope and what's not. And the result of this was more than 200,000 people got underpaid or not paid. Now, let aside the overpaid and the challenges with it. So if I get overpaid this month, happy days. But guess what? Next month they'll figure out, and I will not get paid at all to pay the extras I got. So anyway, so it messed the system. And the result of this was they decided to kind of put it to sleep. And this in 16th of May 2024, the government decided, you know what? We're going to invest $135 million on a new system called Dayforce system. Now, we spoke a lot about this, but let's see, did AI ever help human capital and recruitment? Well, yes. I told you about the story. I worked with MISC, Mohammed bin Salman in Saudi Arabia, to develop 300 of their nationals to become the futures of Saudi Arabia as part of the Vision 2030. And I told you the story where I ended up with 10,000 CVs and applications, and then somebody had to do them. Now, luckily, working at PwC, I worked with the PwC technology division, and we made this happen. But even PwC, they did not apply AI in recruitment. Well, they ended up, after a lot of discussions, applying it on fresh graduates, university fresh graduates. So this brings us to the next topic, which is, what are the how can we overcome the barriers to allow or help recruiters adopt AI-based recruitment systems? So I'm going to speak now with a researcher hat on. So I started with foundational theories, self-efficacy, reason, action theory, and diffusion of innovation that led to technology acceptance model, technology readiness index, and technology characteristics. Now, these are existing theories. I did not invent them, right? And the research method was a quantitative study. I only spoke to recruiters and talent acquisition professionals, and I had more than 300 respondents, and it was deductive. So I did not utilize any of my personal experience in this study. Right, so whoever knows TAM model or the technology acceptance model, as you know, it's based on two things. It says, in simple words, for any person to adopt any technology, you have to A, perceive or believe that it's useful and it's easy to use. For you to think that it's easy to use, you have to psychologically be optimistic, open to innovativeness. It also depends on your reactions to discomfort or insecurity. And of course, the technology itself has to be secure, ethical, you have to trust it, and you have to be able to kind of control it. So the boxes on the left are, if you want, the barriers. Now, fast forward data collection and data analysis, including doctors who told us yesterday they need 4-star and 4 academic journals. You need CFAs and what's not, so confirmatory factor analysis and what's not. So all that was done, and I had an open-ended question to further understand when somebody says, oh, cost is a problem, or trust is a problem. What does trust mean, right? So you need a bit of context on that front. So I got a few extra results on barriers that would prevent recruiters from adopting AI. Now, based on that, the model kind of changed to something similar to this. And here you'd see that we ended up with a third box to the TAM model called perceived confidence. Because if you go back to the example, when speaking to the chief human resources officer at one of the big fours, saying, would you like a system to kind of, or would you like a solution for you to kind of help you hire hundreds of people in a quick and fast and efficient way and consistent way? The answer is yes. How about AI? Oh, no, not AI, not with recruitment. A common sentence is that recruitment needs human touch, right? Now, these are the kind of barriers after the kind of research. And this brings us to saying that this is the theory, and this is what the theory says. So what? What does that mean to us, right? So we needed kind of an intervention to kind of link back to my consulting hat on. We needed to kind of connect the theory to reality, right? We needed to kind of listen. Well, I listened to the recruiters, but I want to kind of come up with an intervention to kind of listen to them and apply what they want. And accordingly, I'm not going to bother you with the details of this intervention plan, but what I tell you is that there is an intervention plan that kind of tackles each and every point that was covered in the research, with the end in mind that all I can tell you is that the first 6 months, the conventional way of doing recruitment will still be there, and gradually after 6 months, we will start to depend more on AI and less on the conventional way. With the end in mind, the trust, the problems, and what's not would hopefully be kind of taken care of. Now, great, you've worked in consulting, you've figured out that these are problems, and you invented an intervention. Who says who that this will work? So what I did is that I did, if you want, some interviews to kind of validate this intervention. And I spoke with a few of relatively famous, well-respected, if you want, companies that are known in their, that they care about human capital, to confirm this intervention. Now, the contribution being a researcher here. So the first was this research would have helped recruiters and organizations that are willing to adopt AI recruitment systems. As of, if I am an entity and I want to adopt a recruitment system, what areas should I look at? Secondly, are technology companies and AI software developers, where they would understand what are their client looking for to make sure that it is included. And finally, the body of knowledge. Now, all this is great. I'm gonna, the last section is, I will leave you with some thoughts about research. So it goes without saying, AI is developing in exponential way. And research with the relationship between AI and human capital is still has a long way to go, to say the least. So for example, in recruitment, will recruiters end up adopting AI? How would perceived confidence change the formula of adoption? And the ethical dilemma, how many of us are scared, including Elon Musk, about AI and what could AI do? And where would the data go? And where would the CVs be saved, and who will have access to them? And rules in Canada, for example, and North America about privacy of candidate data versus in India and UAE are ginormous. Yeah, we are in camera. Anyways, but I can continue about this offline, right? I'll give you some examples where the world or we practitioners need every single one of you. Amazon, for instance, in 2018 had an incident with AI recruitment system that was biased against women. Why? Because the training data was, historically, a lot of the CEOs and VPs and what's not were men. So the system decided that any applicant that has women in their college name is not necessarily a good candidate. Similarly, Google Gemini, we know that they launched it, and 3 days later, the ginormous Google had to kind of pause the system. In both cases, they kind of had to kind of stop it. The last example is Estee Lauder and MAC. I don't know if you heard of this brand. They lost a case against a lady who failed an interview because of her facial expressions, keeping in mind that this specific lady was laid off during pandemic, right? So the system decided that, yeah, she's not interested in the job. So what did Estee Lauder have to do? Kind of pause and kind of rethink on the way that they will use AI in system. Who can solve this? Each and every one of you. On that note, I would appreciate if you could scan the QR code and let's get connected. I'll be delighted to be connected with each and every one of you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Abdullah. This is really interesting presentation to see the diverse of different digital transformation agenda and also going deeper into the AI recruitment and all the challenges that we face in NEMA. Any question for Abdullah before we dive to our second speaker?
I just wonder how advanced the AI would be. Is it an algorithm reading the text of a written application, or are you using it in like in video conferencing, mimicking and see the facial expression, analyzing the tone of voice and all this stuff? So how advanced is it?
It's very well advanced. So what I can tell you is that, for example, what we currently do usually in recruitment is that if we have a post, we will have it on LinkedIn. So we will wait. Sorry, we will wait. We'll have to wait for people to apply for the jobs, right? What AI can do is help you write the job description properly. It will post in the likes of Bait and LinkedIn Recruiter and what's not, but it would also attract passive people. So people, they would look at the criteria and they would try to attract people. That's one. Sifting through CVs, not only the keywords, the jobs, the history of the candidates. It would help in technical and behavioral assessments. It would obviously, if we say recruitment, we always say, yes, it's a 3-4 month job, right? But with AI, it can immediately look at your calendar, the candidate's calendar, and immediately book something for you. It does, and I told you about Estée Lauder, the failed way of doing it, but it does.
But are you using for psychological testing? Are you using it, when do you meet an individual, in a person in the process? How advanced are you in using it? Because I see interviews by analyzing the mimical expressions of the individual, trying to get your emotions, trying to get to the tone of voice. And
100%, 100%. Now, in this case, the lady lost it because of this. So basically what happened is that the lady was speaking to a machine. So she's like, I'm not going to give eye contact. I'm not going to smile. I'm not going to do this. The system said, oh, this person is not serious, right? And she had that debate. But yes, back to your point, it is quite advanced. And guess what? We use AI for similar stuff for our national security, where cameras in airports now tell us, well, this person is a bit suspicious. They've been doing acts and their face temperature is, just keep an eye on this person or that person. So yes, AI is as smart as this. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So just to Tor, I will suggest, and I don't know if you've seen, there's a company called Monjin. So it's like a recent startup. What they do is they do these video interviews. So you can do self-interviews where in a way you're speaking to AI in a way, and that would check for all that stuff of are they fraudulently answering the questions. As well, they can do the interview where the AI is analyzing a conversation between the interviewer and interviewee if there's no discrimination or bias going on in that conversation. So it can do a lot. It's not well adopted as you say. However, my question is also on the other side. What's happening, it's almost looking like AI is talking to AI, because even the candidates know that my CV is being scanned by some AI tool. So they just put their own, the job description, their own CV to ChatGPT or anywhere, and then update their CV and send it back to AI. How do you see that situation playing out? Because it's not like the human touch is actually getting lost again, because the candidates themselves are gaming the same system which is being created by the recruiters.
Yeah, so spot on, and the system that you mentioned is one of many that exists. The AI in recruitment does not only do technical and behavioral, as the psychometric. Well, somebody like me will understand that he's an extrovert way before he applies for the job, but it also helps in the interview and even post that to the extent of even contract negotiation. Now, back to your question. We will have in the world, and this is very subjective, we will have forever people who will try to break the rules and break the systems. In theory, you're not supposed to get the job description and your CV and ask an AI system to rewrite your CV to fit that job position. But many people will. Now, did this exist before AI? Of course we do. And finally is that, how can we overcome this as HR practitioners, is that through the interviews, and many times when we shortlist candidates, I'm sure our senior academics here will tell you, we usually give people a case study, for instance, where they have to kind of work on it. So whatever you claimed that you can do, you have to kind of put it in action in doing it.
Last question, but quick, please.
The biases, how you can control for the typical biases.
Right, so if you want me to answer this, you're going to cancel your agenda, but...
You didn't mention them at all.
It's definitely on the in the slide. So no, bias is indeed, and even in the qualitative and quantitative, showed up as extremely important. And bias here, it goes without saying. I have way smarter people, especially within AI, in the room who can help here. But AI works on the training data. If you train it to do something, you will get that. So the way within the intervention to avoid bias was, because you will have gradual adoption of AI, you will regularly be comparing the first 6 months, my results. So we are recruiting a marketing manager. I will say the top 10 candidates are X, Y, and Z. The system will say A, B, C. And then we start to compare. And here we say, hold on a minute, why are they all men? Why are they all from North America? Why are they all white? And so on and so forth, or religion, or any other thing, right? So is it fixable? The answer is yes. And this is why in the intervention it was gradual adoption with committee reviewing the adoption. I hope this helps. Thank you.
Abdullah. This